Hello class, welcome to Connected. By reading the overview mentioned in the textbook, we can conclude that this lesson is going to provide us with information regarding constitutions. We will understand the significance of the constitution, the need for the constitution, the method of building a constitution, and about the people involved in designing the constitution. This lesson also highlights real and recent incidents of designing the Constitution of South Africa. We will begin by comprehending what happened in South Africa and later move on to the rest of the parts mentioned in the overview. The successive paragraph is about the speech given by Nelson Mandela. He expresses that he has fought white domination and will continue to fight against black domination. He mentions that he has cherished the ideals of a democratic and a free society and describes that society as a happy and a united society with equal opportunities. Nelson Mandela was harassed by the white South African government. 8 leaders were sentenced to life imprisonment as they opposed the practice of apartheid regime in their country. This is a paragraph that tells us about the struggles against the apartheid system. The apartheid system can be explained as a system of racial discrimination. This system was majorly followed in South Africa. This system was imposed by white Americans during the 17th and 18th century. During this time, the Europeans had occupied South Africa with arms and ammunition similar to the way they occupied Indians. They had become the local rulers. They introduced this system of apartheid which divided the people into different categories based on their skin color. The South African people with black skin were classified as blacks. They constituted about 3/4 of the population. The mixed population was called colored people. These European white rulers considered all the other races as inferior. They were not given equal rights, including the absence of voting rights. The apartheid system treated the blacks miserably. The blacks were not allowed to live in the areas where the whites lived. They could work in the areas where the whites worked only with an official permission letter. Basic facilities like public transport, hospitals, schools, entertainment areas, and even toilets were made separately for the blacks. Even places of worship were separated for blacks and whites. Despite this terrible treatment, the blacks were not allowed to protest. Since the 1950s, the blacks and the colored people, along with the Indians, made various attempts to fight the apartheid system. They practiced various protest marches and strikes. All these protests were conducted under the African National Congress, which helped these people fight against the unjust laws. This party included many people from workers' unions. Several countries were against the apartheid system, but the white government continued to torture and trouble thousands of black and colored people. The following paragraph tells us about how a new constitution was formed. As time passed and the struggles against the apartheid system increased, the English government finally thought that it was now difficult to suppress the blacks fighting for their rights. They decided to change their policies. They eliminated all the laws that discriminated against the people. All the bans implied were lifted. Nelson Mandela walked out of the jail after 28 years. On the midnight of 26 April 1994, the new flag of the Republic of South Africa was hoisted and a new democracy was born. The apartheid system came to an end after years of struggle and resulted in the formation of a multiracial government. On this historic occasion, Nelson Mandela began his speech by motivating people by appreciating their preparedness to accept their inherent capacity for the goodness in one another and carrying out the peaceful transition from apartheid to democracy. He extended his wish that the South Africans should never stop believing in good. Various black leaders requested their fellow black citizens to forgive the whites for their torturous behavior when they were in power. They wished to build a new South Africa which was based on various social and political values. After a couple of years of endless discussions and debates, the committee came out with one of the most greatest constitutions in the world. This constitution comprised of equal rights for all. It provided all the possible rights available in the country to its citizens. They all as a team considered every possible problem in the country without excluding anyone and also without mistreating anyone. They considered all the citizens as one and included all of them under the constitution irrespective of their past deeds. Various Democrats all over the world were hugely inspired from the South African constitution. It is believed that South Africa was denounced by the entire world as an undemocratic country until 1994, but today they stood as one of the most democratic countries. This change was possible only because of the determination of the citizens, their will to transform their bitter experiences into a beautiful future. Nelson Mandela, in his speech, mentions that the Constitution spoke about both the past, the present, and also the future. In this paragraph, we will read about why a document such as a constitution is required. As the South African constitution was established, it was time for the whites and the blacks to live together as equals. It was a tedious task for them to trust each other, beholding their fears and interests. The black majority was determined to protect their democratic principle, whereas the whites were protecting their privileges and property. The black majority wanted substantial social and economic rights. Various negotiations and discussions took place. The whites agreed to compromise and accept the majority rule and also accept the one person, one vote policy. The black and the white community compromised on several factors to establish a smoothly functioning democracy. The South Africans believed that the only way to decrease the difference in opinions and increase the unity and harmony amongst people was to build a set of rules that everyone had to follow, irrespective of their skin color. This set of rules included rules about how the government was to be chosen in the future. It also highlighted the authority given to the government and the citizens. Let's read the next paragraph to understand the meaning of Constitution better. Could one of you please volunteer and read this paragraph for us? Every country has a set of rules that each government and each citizen is expected to follow. These set of rules combined are known as a constitution. Countries over the world have an extensive range of different kinds of people living together. The equation that these citizens share may not be as bad as the white and the blacks had, but the difference of opinion always exists. Every institution, organization, irrespective of its size, must have a constitution that is a set of rules that every member must follow. These organizations can range from universities, offices, industries, or even as small as a club in an area or a cooperative housing society. Through the above paragraphs, we now understand the meaning of a constitution. In this paragraph, we will understand what the Constitution determines, how it balances the relationship between the government and the citizens. A constitution has four major roles which are listed below. There have been several incidences in the past which have helped various countries build their constitution. India is a country with a very diverse population. The formation of a constitution, considering all the diversity, was a challenging task. India was established after the partition of India and Pakistan. We must have come across many stories and movies which depicted the plight of people during the separation. The revolt against the India-Pakistan partition and the agitation amongst the people led to the death of nearly 10 lakh people on both the sides. As the British government bid goodbye to India, they left the decision of merging with India or Pakistan to the rulers of the princely states. Let's read the challenges the government faced while framing the Constitution of India, considering all the uncertainties and unstable ties the country was going through. Despite the cultural differences, the Indian constitution makers had an advantage. South Africa created a consensus about what democratic South Africa should look like. But fortunately, the Indians did not have to follow the same footsteps. The national struggle established to get rid of the foreign rule also transformed the old beliefs and philosophy of the people with the changing times. The difference in the opinions existed even then. These differences exist even today, but the controversies have been controlled by the formation of a basic set of rules that every citizen and the government has to follow. In the year 1928, 9 Congress leaders drafted the Indian Constitution. 3 years later, in 1931, there was a discussion in the Karachi session of the Indian National Congress on how the Indian Constitution should look like. By this time, a basic set of rules were accepted by most of the leaders. Let's read the paragraph to understand how they gained familiarity with political institutions from the British rule. Could one of you please volunteer and read the next paragraph for us? With the passing years of thinking and discussion for the framework of the Indian Constitution, the leaders gained confidence and learned from other countries. Leaders were inspired by the French Revolution, the practice of parliamentary democracy in Britain, and the Bill of Rights in the USA. The Socialist Revolution of Russia also became an inspiration to the Indian leaders. The uniqueness of this pattern was that they were not blindly imitating what the other countries had done, but they were picking up ideas from other countries and trying to cross-check if they were suitable in a country like India. Let's read the paragraph to understand better. Could one of you please volunteer and read this paragraph for us? The Indian Constitution was drafted by an assembly of elected representatives called the Constituent Assembly. The members to this assembly were elected in July 1946. The first meeting was held in December 1946 after the partition of India. As the country got separated into India and Pakistan, the Constituent Assembly also split into two. This assembly had a total of 299 members. By the end of the paragraph, we understand why the Republic Day is celebrated on 26 January every year. It is because the Constitution of India came into effect on this day in 1950. You may be troubled by a question about why we follow this constitution which was developed so many years ago. While reading this lesson, we came across a statement which said that the constitution does not depend on the views of the members alone, but also the input of the citizens as well. The basic rules of the Indian Constitution were accepted by most of the citizens along with social and political groups, and hence, we did not have to rewrite our constitution like many other countries did. Many countries do not follow the constitution like it is followed in India. Over the years, India has not reported any case in which any social or a political party has questioned the construction of the Indian Constitution. The selection of the members of the Constituent Assembly was conducted by elections by the members of the existing provincial legislatures. This means that the Indian Constituent Assembly represented the people from India. The election by the provincial legislature members ensured unbiased selection from various regions of India. The Constituent Assembly was led by the Indian National Congress. The Constituent Assembly was functioning systematically, openly, and in a consensual manner. Even the most basic principles were discussed among all the members. The chairperson of the drafting committee, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, prepared a draft from all the discussions. Rigorous discussions took place thereafter to confirm all the principles clause by clause. This paragraph gives us information of all the effort the members of the Constituent Assembly took to build the Indian Constitution. The following paragraph gives an insight on the guiding value of the Indian Constitution. We will also understand the exact provisions of the Constitution on different subjects. Before we begin digging deep into the Indian Constitution, it is important to understand the basic overall philosophy on which our Constitution stands strong. While we read the entire chapter about the building of the Indian Constitution, we notice that the name of Mahatma Gandhi is missing. Many members of the Constituent Assembly followed his visions and principles even though he was not a member of the Assembly. In the Young India magazine in 1931, he expressed his thoughts on the Indian Constitution. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar dreamt of an India without inequality. He was an unforgettable and a very important part of the journey of building the Indian Constitution. It is said that he often criticized Mahatma Gandhi's visions, and he also expressed his concerns in the speech given below. Jawaharlal Nehru ji on the midnight of 15th August 1947 gave a memorable speech. This speech was delivered to mark the country's independence. Let's go through the speech and know the ideologies of Nehru ji. The philosophy of the Indian Constitution is explained in this paragraph. All the values that inspired our freedom struggle and helped the leaders from the Indian Constitution mentioned in the form of a preamble at the beginning of the Indian Constitution. The inspiration of presenting a preamble at the beginning of the Constitution is picked up from the American model not only by India but also by a lot of other countries. The preamble of the Constitution is the opening document which is present right in the beginning of the Constitution. It is generally presented in a poetic form. Let's read the paragraph to understand more about the preamble of the Indian Constitution and also the meanings of the words mentioned in the same. As the times changed, there were also changes that occurred in this society. Those who drafted the Indian Constitution knew that it was important to allow changes to be made in the Constitution with the changing times. Let's read the paragraph to understand better. Could one of you please volunteer and read this paragraph for us? All the rules and regulations the citizen and the government must follow are compiled and mentioned very clearly in the Constitution in a legal language. It is slightly tedious to read and understand the Constitution in the very first time. The Indian Constitution provides rules and procedures for electing desired candidates to govern the country. It also dictates the amount of power the citizens and the government will have in all the procedures. It also provides limits for the government and the citizens to work within. By reading this paragraph, you will understand better about what the Constitution has to offer. We came across a lot of new and difficult words while reading this chapter. The upcoming slide gives the meanings of all these words. Read the words and the meanings carefully and try remembering them. In the question below, there are a few false statements which you are supposed to correct by reading the chapter. Read the instruction carefully and write the correct answers. Answer the question given below by reading the chapter thoroughly. Answer the question given below by reading the chapter thoroughly. For the following match the following question, the answers are already given on the screen. Cross-check the answers by reading and searching for the answers in the textbook thoroughly. We read the speech Jawaharlal Nehru ji gave on the historical occasion of the independence of India on 15th August 1947. The questions given below are based on the same speech. Read the speech again and answer the questions correctly. We came across a slide where we studied the meanings of the words in the preamble of the Indian Constitution. In the question given below, you are expected to match the words and their meanings. The following question is a descriptive question where you are expected to discuss about the Republic Day or the Constitutional Day celebrations in your school. Prepare a brief report on the same topic. The statements displayed below are a few statements based on our country India as a democracy. I'd like you to decide how much importance you'd like to give to each of them. Read the paragraph below and express your views about the same. It is important that you understand the meaning, the aim behind this paragraph. Read the following question and follow the instructions. So that's it for today, class. Thank you and hope you all had fun learning.